Hello AI fans, welcome back to Advancing AI, and today we have a really special treat. Now, you may have seen a few weeks ago in one of our news round videos, we were talking about the Microsoft Agent Framework and how it was going through various release candidates. Well, it's finally out in version 1, it's fully ready to use, and I thought today I'd invite my colleague Toyosi along to talk about it. So, without further ado, let's welcome him onto the channel.
Hey James, thank you for bringing me on today. I'm going to go through an introduction of Microsoft Agent Frameworks. What is it? What are the competitors? And also just go give you a deep dive into what agent frameworks can do.
Sounds good. So, are you really excited to talk about it today? You've been playing around with it already?
Yeah, I've been playing around with it. I've built some mock-ups and I've also built some agent framework that can actually work together with a solution end to end.
Brilliant. Sounds like we'll be getting into that in the future. But for now,
Yeah.
do you want to go through an introduction of what it's all about?
Yeah, I will. So today, what I want to cover is five main things. First is to do with what Microsoft Agent Framework is, which is developed by Microsoft, and they've just released their V1. Secondly, I want to also go through how it's emerged from Semantic Kernel and AutoGen, and it's been created into this one robust framework, which they architected as agent frameworks. Next, I want to actually go through what enterprise environments would be best suited for this Microsoft agent frameworks. And then finally, we'll look at some UI dev that's used with this framework to develop and be able to utilize the outputs and the traces of the framework.
Sounds good. Well, I'm super excited. So,
Yeah.
I guess where do you want to start?
Okay, so first I want to cover what agent framework is. Then I'll go on to how it's emerged from semantic kernel and autogen. Finally, I'll also explain how teams who actually would actually use it, especially in enterprise environment, and then lastly, how it compares to the main competing frameworks out there. Okay, so how Agent Framework emerged. So Microsoft had a team, or two teams, Semantic Kernel and AutoGen. The two teams worked on two separate products to help different enterprises for their semantic kernel, which had connectors, memory, middleware, and telemetry. And then you have AutoGen. AutoGen is focused on single and multi-agent patterns. You can think of it like line graph, but specifically for patterns. And then what it typically does is handoffs group, chat, and experimentation-led lineage. What Microsoft decided to do was bring these two together to create something called Microsoft Agent Framework. The purpose of it is to simplify the agentic framework of any software and also make sure that everything is on under one tenant. So that tenant being Microsoft. If you're a typical enterprise that uses Microsoft, rather than moving between different line graphs or competitors, you can now have version one's Microsoft Agent Framework all working and ready to go.
So, Tosi, you were saying that previously, obviously, Microsoft had Semantic Kernel and they had AutoGen, and yeah, you were saying that were two very separate pipelines, two very separate products. So, what would you say to we've had clients and people saying to us previously that they're using one or the other, and like what's the benefits of both? So, what would you say to those people now that this agent framework has been released? Is it very much you just take your previous code that you used with either one of those pipelines and move it into the new framework? Is there sort of much change that needs to go on?
No, there's not much change that needs to go on. All that needs to go on is you just need to update your requirements.txt and then migrate or modify your code little bit more just to be able to be compatible with this agent frameworks. They've designed it to make it simple to transition between the two. And by utilizing both of them inside this one Microsoft agent framework, it means it's easier to utilize it for either one of those parties or those pipelines that you were already involved in. Oh
Brilliant.
no,
Sounds good.
yeah, it was perfect. So how does it work? So on the left hand side, you can see the semantic kernel agent. The semantic kernel agent previously had to use different things like client equals to client, and now they've just tried to simplify it and make sure that you can put it all together into one simple framework. So one simple framework where you can just do agent.framework and pull in the chat agent. You can also have your Azure response client as well, and then your Azure client credentials. These two, in this example, we're using creating a function. That function creates a get weather, And within that get weather, we retrieve the agent and we get a zero response. Next thing we've got is the AutoGen agent. So the AutoGen agent, very, very similar as I mentioned earlier with the agent framework. You can see here you have a function, get weather, you've got your agent, your assistant agent, and typically what you'd have to do is maybe your description or your instruction was called system message, but now it's just called instructions. You've got your chat client instead of model client. You can see that these two interfaces are very similar. It's just made much more simple for the agent framework and being able to utilize it for both.
Okay, brilliant. So it's sort of a lot more modernized, focus on modern LLM development.
Exactly, exactly. It's just bridging the gap between the two. That's the main purpose of this Microsoft Agent Framework.
Brilliant.
All right, so next I wanted to go into the memory conversation and state. Typically, what would happen is the agent thread abstraction retains like conversation history and then turns those sessions, which ensures that the agents have relevant context for long running dialogues. Now, with the agent frameworks, what you can do is have these session scopes immediate context within within an interaction between agents and also have an LTM, which means that your data or the conversations between the different agents can also be more persistent for user preferences and also facts. This means that for long running projects or long running agents, they can retrieve information from a deeper memory than previously they could.
Okay, great. And so what's the benefit of having those longer running agents? Because it's definitely a trend that we've been seeing recently is that agentic functions are getting longer and longer for bigger and bigger tasks. So is this sort of enabling people to do more with their agents?
Yeah, so it enables people to do more with their agent. It also means that for long-running processes that may use historical data, the agent can now retrieve those historical data much faster than previously would have been able to with short-term memory. And as we know, that data spanning across multiple days or years is actually very important. But it's previously this was not being able to be retrieved. It was only what was noticed in like let's say 5 minutes ago, but now you've got context window that looks for long-term memory or context from the past or session scoped memory and is able to retrieve that information. So really useful for enterprises that have data that goes to the past.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So why um Microsoft Agent Frameworks? Well, we believe it's enterprise ready foundations. It's built on Microsoft, so it's got built-in guardrails. It means that any information or leakage you can put on guardrails to avoid those from leaking. You've got observability via open telemetry, and Microsoft has their own application insights. Now, with the application insights, you can then see the flow of your agents running in your application insights. You can see the traces running as well. You can debug, find out where the hitches are happening with your agent framework. And what makes this exceptional is because it's built on Microsoft, it means out of the box, you get this type of enterprise ready foundations, which LangGraph, for example, you'd have to develop your own telemetry within Azure and connect it to the LangGraph state management and retrieve all the information there. It's also got integrated directly with Azure Identity. So for authentication, for making sure that only the right processes run with the right credentials, that's where we have the integrated Azure Identity. We've got policy enforcement and content filters, similar to guardrails. We want some policies, or we want the agent to run in a certain way. You want it to follow those policy enforcements, and then Git backed Databricks apps. That's also something separate, but that shows it can be used within Databricks as well.
Oh, brilliant. So this isn't just a Microsoft exclusive framework. You can use this outside of the immediate Microsoft ecosystem.
Exactly, exactly. So if you use other tenants like AWS, like Google Cloud, you can also use this framework. This framework should be thought of as kind of quote unquote open sourced, which allows you to be able to use it for different projects, and it doesn't keep you locked down to one tenant, which is Microsoft, which makes it really useful for people building different things, and they can also trust Microsoft's credentials of creating very exceptional things.
So, Toyosi, that's all really cool. What sort of teams should be using this then?
Yes, okay, I've got that just for you. So the teams that should use this are enterprise that are using Microsoft already, and they believe that it will be beneficial to have their own bespoke line graph type solution, but built for Microsoft because they're already using traceability within it, and also for enterprises that already have semantic kernel and AutoGen. But rather than having these two separate entities, they can have it all in one now within agent framework. So it means that you unify the system into one single path rather than two separate pipelines. Next, you've got sessions, middleware, telemetry, and hosted integrations. This reduces the glue code that typically was happening before when you have like line graph, like I mentioned previously. Lastly, you've got graphs, orchestration, which is for agents. Typically in semantic kernel, if you were using that, you couldn't use the AutoGen. You had the two separate pipelines. So teams that have these graphs and want to migrate into Microsoft, it means that they can now do it all within one single framework. So where you have some graphs, checkpoints, pause, resume, approvals, anything that makes things longer, this now makes it a lot easier to be part of your process. And then lastly, as we know, Microsoft can provide most MCPs and A2A, agent to agent frameworks or tools. These can also surface those type of tools. So it means that they're very mature, even though it's a version one. It's mature enough for any team that's looking to delve into the agentic framework that Microsoft offers.
I mean, that all sounds absolutely mind blowing. It sounds like there's an awful lot of features that they've been trying to push into this version one. As you say, sounds like it's really mature for a version one release, which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it sounds like there's a lot going on there. Is there sort of an easy way to sort of visualize what's going on, sort of help teams get started and wrap their heads around all the different things that their framework is running and doing?
Yeah, yeah. So on the next slide, we actually have a Dev UI visual workflow. This Dev UI visual workflow actually allows you to see the whole process of your agentic framework and flow end to end. You can see what agents are working where, and it means that anyone that's new to your system is able to see how the agent framework is processing, what are the bottlenecks, where are the context windows being overloaded, the prompt tokens, the input tokens, the output tokens, so you can also manage costs very effectively, and also external features as well that I would have loved to show you in this video. But maybe in one of the demos, we can show them this too.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. In one of the demos, I think we'll definitely be able to go through all of this
yeah,
and show off all the features that are available in the framework. It
amazing.
sounds like it's absolutely brilliant. So I guess it begs the question, why would you even bother sort of considering using any of the other frameworks which are available?
Well, the whole point of this is that you're meant to, if you're already within the Microsoft ecosystem, rather than having different taping it, your agents with different solutions or open source models like LangGraph, Crew AI, OpenAI agents, SDK, Google SDK. There's a there's a lot of them out there. So what does is it makes it simplified for everyone. So observability is inbuilt because of Microsoft's application insights. You also have the dev UI that I just showed you, which means you can actually look at how your processes flow, something that LineGraph can't easily give you. Neither can OpenAI's agents SDK also. And you then also have the semantic kernel, including the AutoGen. And a lot of teams have been using AutoGen. So rather than staying on AutoGen and missing out on the semantic kernel's features, you now have both of those features all in one. And you've got the support of Microsoft, who's going to keep developing this agent framework. So the ability for the agent framework to become something that's really useful across your whole Microsoft ecosystem is a lot higher than what LangGraph is able to do with the same technology. That's the main reason why I can see it outpacing its competitors and becoming the main go-to for enterprises. And as we know, enterprises value data, security, governance a lot. This is the best suited for those enterprises.
Oh, they certainly do. And that's really good to hear that governance is still like, at the forefront of what people are focusing on, what they're thinking about in their frameworks, and what they're developing towards. That's really brilliant to hear. And yeah, from what you're saying, it sounds like the Microsoft Agent Framework is a real competitor, a real new horse in the race in this ever-evolving ecosystem of how people can be better using their LLMs and their agents.
For sure, for sure. It's something that even myself I'm really enjoying using. So
Brilliant. Well, I'm hoping in the future we'll maybe get to see a bit of what you've been working on, maybe a few examples of how the framework works.
of course, I can't wait. I can't wait. Thank you, James.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Toyosi, for taking us through all that. Absolutely brilliant. And of course, if anyone watching this video, if you've used it so far, let us know what you think of it in the comments. Let us know if we missed any features that you particularly wanted to focus on. But yeah, we'll definitely be seeing Toyosi again in the future to go through all of these great features that the Microsoft Agent Framework has available. But until next time, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in a future video.
Bye bye.